Alright, g'day Mackenzie, it's Ashley again. Okay, this is going through the pre-taxi and taxi procedures once you've got the aircraft started. So making reference to the checklist, pre-taxi and taxi checklist. First of all, you would check to make sure your seat belts are fastened and your harnesses, and also make sure the door is secure. So for this aircraft, obviously that's the door open, but to secure this aircraft you've got to close the door and put the handle down, and obviously it's the same on this side as well. So yeah, just secure it, close. There we go. That's how you lock this aircraft, and obviously you'd push against the door, make sure it's closed. Windows are the same. I don't know if these windows open. It should. No, I don't think you can open the windows. The flaps might still be down because, see how that I've got the flaps down at the moment, because when you do your pre-flight, obviously you're going to inspect your flaps. And so you want to retract your flaps here by lifting this handle up, and there's a little notch that tells you which stage the flaps are up. You visually check. The flaps have retracted. Alright. Heat, vent, defrost. I'm not worried about that right now. Avionics, the avionics are on, so when we flip the bus, the avionics are on. At the moment we've got, this the CTAF frequency for Indianapolis Metro is 123.0, which is currently on COM1. But we will need to listen to the ATIS or the AWOS in this particular case. So to do that, I want to keep monitoring this frequency here, but I want to use COM2 in order to tune into the ATIS. So if I change the frequency at the moment, see how it's going to change the frequency? That's got the little bluish box around it. The big one changed the big number, and the little knob changed the little numbers. And if I want to just put that frequency in the active frequency, which is currently green, I'd press that, and that switches frequencies. But I actually want 123.0 on COM1, and I want the AWOS, which is, I had to look it up, it's 119.375 on COM2. So I'll push this button and that brings the box down. 119.375. So, oops, 119.375. It's easier in life. Do it a lot quicker in life. Oops. 375, flick that across. So these are the active frequencies. However, I'm not monitoring COM2 yet. COM2, this is the column here that's to transmit on. This is to monitor. So I'll just click this one, and I can monitor.
Indianapolis Metro weather. Wind calm, visibility more than 10. Sky conditions 6100 scattered, temperature 13. Dew point -13. Altimeter 2992.
Alright, so you would have written that down, and if you'd miss it, you can just continue to monitor it because it's on a loop. So you just listen to it again and write down what you miss. But the key here is the wind and the altimeter setting. Obviously we can look outside, we can see that the visibility is obviously VFR, so I'm not too worried about that. But the altimeter setting, which happens to be already set to 90.92, it's like a default for the flight sim. It's pretty rare that it's actually going to be that, but in this particular case, that's what it is. So you'd set your altimeter setting. Now, for IFR flights, so we know we're doing VFR, the altimeter, once you've set the correct altimeter setting, it has to be within 75 feet. Now the altitude at Indianapolis Metro is 811 feet, so obviously it's showing 800, so it's within 11 feet, which is less than plus or minus 75 feet. For IFR, that's good, that's fine, that's usable. And obviously you'd set also that in this altimeter down here as well, which looks like it's on 2992. And because the conditions are calm, so the aircraft procedures at this particular airport, I had to look it up, but I know the procedures at this airport are for runway 15 if the wind is calm. And I've got this set up here. There, the arrow, I've got, see this, I can change the course here with this knob here. I have it set up on runway 15, course 150. That's the direction we're going to be taking off. Currently we're facing 330 or 331. Alright, so we've got the AWOS, the altimeter is set, transponder. Now, what that is the transponder, so we get picked up on radar. And let's have a look here. So, on the main screen here, along the bottom, there's some soft keys. And XPDR means transponder, so we click that button. And in this particular case, we are flying VFR, which it already has 1200. VFR is 1200. So instead of having to type in 1200, you can just click VFR, it'll put 1200 right there. And it does automatically go into altitude mode when we get airborne. However, you can switch it on to altitude mode right away. But normally you do that when you on the old school transponders, when you had to manually do it, you'd do that as you enter the active runway. But the transponder is currently on VFR, which is 1200, and it's on standby at the moment. ADS-B, this aircraft at the flight school the aircraft we're hiring does not actually have ADS-B. Radio test, so for a radio test, what you can do is you can transmit on one of your radios, just get a radio check. You can also pull this. Well, when you pull that or push, you get squelch. I guess it's not working. No. You get squelch, so you can hear how loud the radio is. Taxi light, right? We'll put that on because we're going to taxi. And the brake tests, turn the brake off. Start moving forward. Yep, brakes work, excellent. Attitude indicator test. So what that means is, obviously we're going to look, just clear on the left, clear in front, and there's no one on the right. So let's keep taxiing forward now. So, you know, as you're turning, just maybe a bit of throttle. Now, the artificial horizon's not going to bank or anything like that. And we're looking right, we're looking left. But as we make a left-hand turn, the DG turns in the correct direction. Oops. It's hard to taxi this easier in life, as you know. A bit fast. And it's clear on the left and on the right. So we're always looking out. Oh, right turn, the DG turns in the correct direction. Left turn, DG turns in the correct direction. And I haven't spoken about the turn coordinator yet, but when you do a right, if you turn to the right, I'll show you in a second here. This thing underneath the little triangle needs to go to the opposite direction. Yep. No, opposite direction of your turn. Yep, that's correct. Right, so that's the turn coordinator. Jeez, this is horrible taxing. I know in real life you do a lot better job than this, Mackenzie, so I'm not worried about your taxiing skills. You've already got that down pat. But this one does actually taxi differently because with the pedals on this aircraft, you actually do steer the wheel on this aircraft. So it might actually take a little bit more pressure on the steering column, on the foot pedals. But you can also still use the brakes as well. So it's actually pretty easy. So approaching runway 15, and obviously we need to do a run up. Yeah, this is going really fast. And normally you try and face into the wind, but it's still conditions, so I'll just face towards that runway there. So leave it at about 1000 RPM or thereabouts in preparation for the run up. Okay, so the run-up, we have the brakes set. Fuel, well, we selected both. As part of the shutdown, it gets to left or right, so now it's back on both. Trim, we set for takeoff. And you can see there, the trim wheel. That little white line, white line will show you where it's indicating its current position. So obviously it goes up, it goes down, and we want it aligned with the triangle there for the takeoff position. Trim set for takeoff flight controls. Obviously you would check to see your flight controls are all free and correct, and you do the same with the pedals as well, and you see the pedals are moving as well. And at the same time you're looking, it's so much harder than it's easy in real life. Obviously your ailerons are moving in the correct direction. That one's down, the other one should be up. That's down, the other one should be up. Yeah, okay, and that's good. Yeah. See that? It's just easier in real life. And I think I bumped the throttle by mistake accidentally. Instruments, no red X's. Nope, no red X's at all. So looking at your display as well, no red X's. Altimeter and primary flight display barometric is set. Standby altitude altimeter is also set to the same, and it's reading about the same, 780 feet or thereabouts. Altitude select. Now I think that's in reference to this here, so you're going to select the altitude you want. I'll just put 1800 because that's actually pattern altitude at this airport, but I'm not intending to fly in this video. Standby instruments. Okay, airspeed indicator is reading 0, artificial horizon is looking correct, and altimeter is set to the same altimeter setting and it's reading the same altitude. Mixture is best power, so that's just full rich at this airport. Manual electric trim test, which I did by setting it to pre-takeoff, takeoff. Okay, now we want make sure. Hang on one sec. Just make sure the brakes are on. Yeah, just like real life. All right, so now we're going to set it to 1800 RPM. Get that out of the way. Obviously, my feet would be on the pedals. It's exact, but if it's plus or minus a few RPM, doesn't matter. Magneto test, so what that is, oops. Let's go to left, to right, and the RPM drops a little bit. Turns 1800, now to the left one, drops again. Still, they're within 50 of each other. Back to both. The vacuum indicator. I'll try and do it from your side. Vacuum. And the vacuum is actually powering this one here. So that's reading in the green, so that's good. Engine indicators. Let's have a look here. So we've got fuel flow is good. Pressure is good for oil pressure is very good. It's in the green. Oil temperature is good. Yeah, engine's looking good. Still got plenty of fuel for what we're doing today. Amps and volts. Looking good. It's all positive there. Annunciators. There are no annunciators here at all. Or on the screen, it's the same display. Okay, we'll pull the aircraft back to idle. Just make sure the aircraft engine doesn't stall. Yeah, throttle's the way back. No, we're good. Okay, back to 1000 RPM. And also you would adjust the throttle friction, which is this device here. You'd turn it either left or right just to increase the friction, so it's either harder or easier to pull the throttle in and out. It's just so that when the engine's running there is some vibrations. If it's really loose, the throttle can accidentally just sort of position and drop the RPM or increase it. So if you use the throttle friction, it tightens it, so it's less likely to move in flight. The COM nav, FMS, GPS, verifying that. And CDI soft key. Right. Oh, okay, you're selecting your nav source. I just put it on that just so that I can set up the runway. Yeah, that is the run up. And pre-takeoff, obviously we'd set flaps to 10 degrees. And you'd visually check. Yeah, there's a little bit of flap there. Mixture best power, which is set fully rich at this airport. Pitot heaters required. Today I wouldn't worry about it, but if there was visible moisture and if the temperature was, you know, cold, then yeah. What's the outside temperature of this thing? I'm going to have to locate the outside air temperature. I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is, outside air temperature, 13 degrees Celsius. Yep. Okay, so you need to turn that off in order to get it over here. Outside air temperature. Okay. Transponder. So once again, we can just go to Transponder. We click on Alt so we know that it's actually going to give off our altitude as we're climbing for the radar. Heading bug, well, you just set the heading bug for your first heading after you get airborne. And you do that with heading. And I just set it on the runway heading. Doors and windows, just make sure that they're secure. Which they are. You'd push on the door here and make sure that's all safe. Landing lights, put that on. I actually use both landing light and taxi when on. And I put the strobe on as well. And time, you'd know the time when you get airborne or when you overhead the field. And brakes release. So you release the brakes and you taxi the runway. There you go. And that's all there is to the startup, taxi and run up. Anyway, put the brakes on. And that's it for this video. Alright, no worries.